If you're looking to build a home in North Central West Virginia, visit askvisionhomes.com. Vision Homes, building you a house you're proud to call home. And don't forget to subscribe to the Ryan and Rush Show, but don't take our word for it. Take Coach Nealon's.
Hi, this is Coach Don Nealon, and you're watching the Ryan and Rush Show. Please subscribe.
And we welcome you in to this edition of the Ryan and Rush Show. West Virginia, Big 12, and college sports in 10 minutes or less guaranteed. Ryan, it is another somber Monday in Morgantown, West Virginia, and for all of Mountaineer Nation. It's no secret that we have dropped the last two games in prime time. We've waited all this time to finally get these Fox 8 o'clock, 7:30 games, whatever time, and look awful on national television. Of course, this Saturday was no different. Might have even been worse than Iowa State. Awful, awful, awful game. Can't say it enough. Let me ask you, Ryan, was this Neal Brown's last home game?
Great question. I don't think so. I think he'll finish the year and then they'll move on from him. But like you said, man, it's just that. I mean, usually I have the box score up on my other screen and I break down the game. There's nothing to break down, man. Those guys just flat out quit in the second half, laid down and just took it. I mean, they Chris Kleiman, I mean, we've become the program where they knee it at the 1 yard line, take a knee at the 1 yard line, not to run up the score on us. That's where we've become over these last couple weeks. And I dove in a little bit more because I was getting text messages. Obviously, we do the gambling show over at the College Experience, and I was getting text messages all throughout the night. What happened to West Virginia, man? Like, West Virginia used to, like, you would, when they were at home, they were an automatic team to take, or they were an automatic, at least if they were going to lose the game, they were going to go down fighting. And in prime time in Morgantown, nobody ever came in there and got a win. And I went back and looked, and I know we've talked about the stats, Rush, where he's 3-16 over his years against ranked teams. I guess 3-17 now, and then his record against teams with the winning record is like 30%. But here's one that really hits home, and I think we really take pride in our home field advantage, home court advantage on the basketball front. Take out the COVID year because there were no fans that year. We're 15-13 at home in the Neal Brown era. 5 of those are FCS wins. So 10-13 against FBS teams. Even further, 8-12 in Big 12 home games. 40%. That's like equivalent to what Iowa State was before Matt Campbell and what Kansas was before Lance Leipold. We become a bottom of the tier team, and that's why we have not had any sustained success in the Neal Brown era. Going 8-12 at home, we're supposed to be known for our home field advantage, and just
no kidding.
And I'll take it a step further. Our average margin of defeat in those 12 games, 15.5 points. So we're not just losing like field goal, like, oh man, we're on the wrong side. No, we're losing by an average of more than 2 touchdowns per home game in the Big 12 over this Neal Brown era.
He's never beaten a 7-win team either. Even those ranked opponents we beat were not ranked at the end of the year. I think the best one ended up being 7-6, including a bowl game there. And I know what you're saying. Pro Football Talk, they had that tweet where they're like, did I just dream West Virginia was a good program? And that's what it feels like at this point. It feels like it's a dream. Like when was that? Like you can't even, like, COVID obviously distorted all of our memories. No, days run together now, but like it feels like a really long time ago when we had faith in this West Virginia team. Obviously, we don't have a Big 12 winning record. My guess is now what? He's around 500 overall.
I think 34-33 and 20, like 4 games under in Big 12 play, and it's bad. It's bad. It's been a bad product for 6 years, and it's pretty clear that last year was the outlier due to a very favorable schedule.
Yeah, and you could even say they probably underperformed a little bit last year with the way they lost to that Houston game, and then a special teams blunder against Oklahoma State. I mean, that could have been a 10-win team last year. That was the chance. I don't know the next time we're going to get a chance, and it really feels like this program has been set back 10 years. What Shane Lyons did with extending him being 11-11 after the 2020 year set this program back 10 years. And it's sad. It's terrible. We wanted a nice guy to come in, clean up the Dana image. Okay, I understand the logic here, but you still got to have the right coach. And we went nice. And clearly we're paying for it now. Say what you want about Dana. Maybe Dana never liked West Virginia. Maybe West Virginia never liked Dana. Maybe it was a pure business relationship. But I never felt like this when Dana was coach. We had the equivalent of a Garrett Green at quarterback and Skylar Howard. And that was our 10-win season. I never felt like this when Dana was our head coach. So say what you want about Dana, but man, kind of starting to miss the guy right now. And of course, he's gotten older. He's not the same, but people know what I'm talking about from that standpoint. Going back to this game on Saturday, Ryan, I was at the game, as you know, and got to the tailgate around 2:00. So 7:30 game, you get there around 2:00. So about 5.5 hours before, the game starts itself. And I thought showing up at 2:00, I was going to be late. Like there was going to be traffic. It was going to be difficult getting in. I got in there, no problem, man. And I mean, we've been at 7:30 games, primetime games where 11 a.m., noon, if you're not settled in your parking spot, get there. It's awful to get in. But finally, after a couple hours, I would say around 5:00, 4:30, 5:00, it started to come alive. People started to come out a little more, get there to tailgate, and started walking up to the stadium. I'll say 6:45, and it felt like, okay, it is homecoming. This is West Virginia. We all thought, we were due. So the energy started to come back like, all right, you kind of just felt it. No one said it to one another, but the energy was, this is his last chance. This is his last time to win us over as fans. Get to the game. Obviously, we know how that went. Blown coverage, terrible pick six. Should have taken the points at the end of the half. You still have the opportunity in the second half, and then they just lay down there. We know how the game goes. But even when we were still technically in this game, in the stadium, they brought up like the Neal Brown coaching show, like, during the TV timeouts as advertisements. Fans were booing, man. Booing, even when we had a chance in this game. And then obviously, third quarter, most of the stadium was gone, left for the parking lots. It was really sad. I left that game. Maybe he comes back. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that was his last home game. It felt like it, though. It felt like this was it. This was the end. It was really sad, man. I've never seen such a defeated crowd. No one was even really, a couple guys were angry, but people just felt more sad about it than anything else. So, maybe Arizona ends up being his last game with the bye week. He doesn't come back. I think that could potentially be used for contract negotiations. Maybe they finish out the season and, are able to pay him a little less. My guess is Ren is taking calls from boosters. Stuff is being worked out behind the scenes. But personally, for me, I think it was his last home game. Just going based off a gut feeling.
Yeah, it very, very well could be. I mean, it's pretty evident that not with what he said last week, and that kind of goes back to these stats I named off, that we play like it's just a fun time to be in the parking lot. Like being a 40% program at home where we've had, I mean, think about the great teams we've had under Don Neal, Rich Rod, Bill Stewart. Even Dana won 60% of his home games in the Big 12. We've always won at home. And if we lost, we would go down swinging. We don't even go down swinging, losing by 15.5 points per game, like I said. We're not even close. So we've lost our identity. It's the players have quit on him, clearly. And unfortunately, pretty evident the fan base has quit on him. Just look at the comments, look at the message board. It's not even anger anymore. Like you said, it's not even anger. Last week was anger. This week, it was just depression watching that game, just laying down and watching Kansas State take a knee at the 1-yard line so that they didn't beat us by 5 touchdowns. And Kleiman said, here, let's save you guys a little bit of face, and we'll only beat you by 4 touchdowns. It was like we lost a bye game. We got our teeth kicked in. I don't want to hear the injuries. We were completely outclassed, outcoached, out-dominated by a coach in his 6th year as well. And that's exactly what our program should look like. Kansas State, 8-4, solid every single year, a chance to win 10 or 11 games on a really good year with the veteran group. A down year, we're like 7-5. Not what we are, where we're just scratching and clawing to get to 6-6 year in and year out now.
I guess that's what's the frustrating part about this is who we lost to. I completely agree, Kleiman. And it's like, you guys joined at the same time. This should be, you're looking at like, why isn't this us? And something we talked about going into the season. I'm with you on the whole injury front. It's how deep this team was. All these guys we brought back and were able to keep and maintain through Country Roads Trust. And just, we weren't. So obviously this discussion continues throughout the week and figure out where we go forward. But until then, we appreciate the support as always. Love Mountaineer Nation. Go Mountaineers, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Better days ahead. Let's go Mountaineers.